Let's look at some cocoa futures and ETF. So first off, read this disclaimer carefully. Then do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So we go to natural resources, and further down we have something called the softs. So cocoa is one of those, 40-ish% from the 52-week low, and basically we are at the highs. There is an ETF with the ticker NIB as well, for those who do not want to dabble with the futures. Yeah, so we start here with the chart, weekly data points, and this is, a big picture. We do have a breakout, so that is bullish. But breakouts, they are primarily bullish for those who got in earlier. We now have a pretty big move. There's been times before where this futures went much higher. You see here in this period, 2014, 2016, 2009. Okay, so let's look a bit at the daily data points. I mean, the move is pretty big. We are about to challenge the February 2020 highs. Okay, so let's now look at the RSI and the PPOs. Okay, so we start here with the weekly data points. So as you can see here with the RSI, we are really, really high. But there's been a few times before where RSI got even higher, but generally speaking, this is a risky territory for the bulls. Usually we don't go higher. So they are running out of, they don't have odds in their favor at this point. Except if this current rally is like extraordinary. But yeah, we are doing a pullback, looking at the PPOs as well, also really, really, really high on the daily data points. The same thing, the probability do favor a pullback. So yeah, let's write overbought, really overbought. I do think I will give the bears, I give them a 5 here. Overall, this is pretty bearish, but the bulls haven't yet seen the breakdown in momentum, but the odds simply do not favor a lot more rally. When you do have a breakout like you have here, looking at the weeklies, it can be self-reinforcing. The problem here for cocoa futures and cocoa bulls is that when you look here at the chart, it is very volatile, up and down, up and down. So this isn't the type of chart that speaks favorably of breakouts. So yeah, you need to just look at the bigger picture. And when we go here and look at the seasonality for cocoa futures, to the left, it is obviously pretty bearish. The seasonality is expected to be pretty bearish, actually, into late June, which is not favorable to the bulls, obviously. We are currently in April, but let's look a bit at March as well. So March was a decent month. It wasn't extreme, but when you look here at April, we see that at the sum, it is the most bullish month. When you look here at the performance of prior years, it can be very bullish, but if you look here in 2020, March was very weak. So the context in that case was different. Looking at 2018, then you did see a very bullish March and April. 2017, super bull March, but then very bearish April. So you see that generally speaking, we don't see back-to-back recurring patterns. So we don't see like super bullish and then another bullish month. There usually is a give back, either the bulls or the bears giving back. And that certainly fits into the pattern of these time cycles, also the shorter time cycles. So as far as the bears here, I think I will give the bears a 1 in this case. The reason why they do get the 1 is because, as we did see, April, it is actually, looking at the sum, it's a pretty bullish month. The performance of March was not extreme bullish, so it's not like in the cases before where the odds of a huge give back is there. However, when we looked at the average performances over the last 5, 7, and 10 years in the line chart to the left, it was bearish. But it's a bit messy, but overall I do think it's more bearish than bullish. I do use a separate tool for fundamental analysis, which I can't really show due to like licensing issues, but yeah, -2 on the fundamentals here on cocoa futures, and that is very much due to the price. It's all about supply and demand, and when the price reach a certain level, then it becomes obviously more costly, so it's not as attractive for purchasers. Let's look at relative performance. We are comparing cocoa against S&P 500. 35% correlation, 30% with the DBA, which is the agriculture ETF, then 72% with the NIB, which is the cocoa ETF. Going to daily data points, then there is a perfect correlation between cocoa futures and NIB. But given that the long-term correlation is weaker, you do see that there's been a deterioration recently in the correlation. So that's something to keep our eye on, but at least short-term it's very tight. 42% with S&P 500 and the -14% with the DBA. So let's just quickly look here at NIB. The chart looks relatively similar, but there are some discrepancies. But NIB is a good way to get exposure to cocoa without getting into the futures market. We did see that there was some correlation with S&P 500, but not really a strong one, so no reason to jump to conclusions. So we do see some rally here on the S&P 500. On the daily list, the bulls are seeing some gains, not overbought or anything like that. Seasonality for April here, it is pretty bullish, so that's nice for the bulls. But there isn't really a strong correlation here, though, with the NIB. Okay, so let's in this case, let's compare. Yeah, we just have to compare it, I guess, with the S&P 500. But there was a very weak correlation. We do see, however, a rounding bottom in this case, which is bullish. It seems like there is a bit of an influx into the commodities market. So this is a long-term bullish pattern. We are fairly high on RSI, so there is some reason to think that maybe there will be some reversal. You do see that we usually go up and down, up and down. That is the primary pattern here. Now there's a lot of give and take, and after a substantial rally, there might be some pullback. Looking at dailies, we see a similar dynamic between these two. The seasonality here to the left, it is bearish. Looking here to the right. So April, overall, it is a month that favors cocoa over the S&P 500. But looking at the performance here going back to 2014, we see that it is bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. It is a bit hard to predict, given that May is more of it's a weaker month, and June is even weaker, and July is also rather weak. Especially recently, it means that longer term investors are not going to be that attracted then to cocoa here over S&P 500. So in this case, when it came to relative performance, I will give this one to the bulls too, but the bullish thesis, it has deteriorated due to the strong performance so far. So the bulls have a lot of gains. So there's the odds now of bears and also bulls selling, to take some profits off the table. It has increased. So yeah, the entry signal, we are overbought, -1.5 here in favor of the bears. Primary super bearish. Well, not super bearish, but most bearish was the technicals. Okay, so yeah, given that we have some time left, let's look at stocks that are related to cocoa. So here you can see the Hershey company. They are in the candy business. Strong rally here from Hershey. High on RSI. Looking at the dailies, really high though. It is going back here. You have to go all the way back here to 2019 to see a prior time where we had an even higher RSI. And also on multiple of these PPOs, we are also very, very elevated. Seasonality, it is a bit flat line-ish here, but it can actually accelerate in a more bullish manner into May, June. Looking at April performance, it is frankly a bullish month, at least recently. But you see here between 2014 and 2018, it had a very bearish period. So there might be some cycles in this case. Let's look here at the fundamentals. Yeah, looking at price book here in blue, price to sales is really high. Price earnings also very, very, very high. This is not really a value place for Hershey's. You know, it's all about buying low and selling high, and yeah. So the price targets, the average is basically right to where we are now. Highest is 10% above, but lowest is also 10% below. So yeah, this has just gone very far. Mondelez International, also in the candy business. Yeah, you do see the same thing here, a very strong rally. Yeah, let's quickly look at the RSI. Yeah, not extreme on the weeklies, but in danger territory here for the bulls on the dailies. Seasonality, bit noisy, but generally bullish here to the left. To the right, April is actually it is the strongest month though for Mondelez. Price book is very, 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 very high. This is not value at all. Price to sales also rather elevated. Also price earnings. So let's quickly here look at Mondelez, the price target, the forecast. The bulls are here though. 7% above is the price target. Highest is 15ish% above. So there are definitely some bulls here on Mondelez. But yeah, we looked at cocoa futures, and there is an ETF as well. We also looked at some Mondelez and some Hershey's. Hershey's is really, really, really overstretched, so I do think that it is becoming increasingly interesting for the bears. Mondelez could have a bit more left in it though. The seasonality for the current month that we just entered is pretty bullish, so that could be something. So yeah, the commodities market is very interesting market to be in because the people who are into commodities is just the different creatures altogether. So you will see patterns and opportunities in this space that will open a lot of doors that you don't get in other markets. A lot of other markets like the stock market, also the forex, cryptos. They can have a tendency to be very strongly like trending in one direction, but commodities they have this more like up and down dynamic where they move in cycles, and that means that they are very nice to trade if you have a very close eye on buying low and selling high, because you can buy low and then you have a good probability of being able to, get some profits later on, because there are more natural supply and demand dynamics for a commodity, because the commodity is the commodity. Like there's not like a bunch of ways to invest in, let's say, cocoa. But if you want to like invest in tech stocks, right, you have so many different stocks. Some can go up, some can go down. It's more messy. So yeah. There's also a bunch of other benefits with commodities, but yeah. Whatever you do, of course, have a great week and Easter.